Welcome to Shadow Daddy Groupies, a podcast where we read fantasy books. We're Raven and Kelly. Get ready for us to bring you our unhinged book recommendations and even worse taste in men. So, we're both kind of grumpy right now because we had technical difficulties for over an hour. So we both are kind of grumpy. Just putting that out there.
You just have all my shit's like shoved to the whole other side of my desk. It looks like someone's fucking just demolished my shit. Welcome to Shadow Daddy Groupies. I'm Raven.
I'm Kelly. And today we're talking about Silver Elite by Dani Francis. So this book is kind of the talk of the internet right now. It is a new release. Has a little bit of interesting marketing going on. And I'm going to start with my 1 to 2 minute no spoiler summary. Okay.
Either way. I can't wait to hear this.
If you are missing that period of time around 2000 to mid 2010s when dystopian fiction like Hunger Games and Divergent was in its prime, Silver Elite is for you. In this world, those with psychic and telepathic abilities are rooted out and killed by the ruling government. Ren Darling knows that hiding and lying is the only way to survive. Then she makes a mistake and is thrown into Silverblock, an elite training program run by the handsome and ruthless commander Cross Redden. Caught up between the rebel uprising and trying to survive her worst enemies, Ren is caught up in a war on people like herself with no allies and no one that truly knows who she is. Lie, trust no one, and try not to fall for the enemy. Okay.
Okay. Oh,
do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I couldn't put it down.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
My overall feeling was this a fun time? Yes. Mm-hmm. Was it unique? Absolutely not. That's my feelings about it. It was fun, had great vibes, but there is nothing unique about this. You've read this story and these tropes like a million gazillion times and a basically recycled every single major trope. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't put it down, because I also could not put it down. I think I spent like 12 hours last Friday finishing this book. But with that said, there is a lot of people talking about this book. There is a lot of hate for this book. There's a lot of love for this book. And there's a lot of people right in the middle. So I think right where we're at.
I think the people like us that kind of grew up with the Divergent Hunger Games stuff.
Millennials,
yes. I wasn't going to call us out that bad. But yes, millennials are the ones that are probably a little more negative just because we've seen this and it's being reenacted.
I think in some ways this was kind of packaged towards millennials.
Yeah, I could see that. I liked it. It was just a fun vibe.
It was a fun vibe.
I'm not like, oh my God, Cross is everything. No, that's not Luther Carbois.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about our main male character, Cross Redden. So one, there's almost a semi-love triangle going on. Almost. Because in the beginning of the book, when she talks about developing her powers as a kid, she connects with another boy about her age that also has telepathic abilities. And so for her entire life, she's had this relationship with someone that she's never met. Now, they've both not been completely honest about who they are. She doesn't really know who he is. And she definitely is very careful to not let him know where she's at and who she really is. But
like with that said,
codename
Daisy and Wolf.
So
You kind of
There's
call
like
that from the beginning, though. The what?
you call it from the beginning who Wolf ends up being. Like there's like one or two times where you're like, oh, well, maybe it could be Kane or maybe it could be someone else. But you pretty much know from the very beginning who Wolf turns out to be. So you've got this semi love triangle of this guy who she likes to talk to, but has no intention of seeking out or figuring out who he is. And then she gets thrown into Silverblock and she's like 100% attracted to Cross right off the bat. So, one of the biggest things that I saw online is people said that when they were first introduced to this book, they were introduced to this book as a slow burn, and it is absolutely not a slow burn. Like immediate attraction, there's tension, but you're like they're definitely getting together. They're definitely into each other and they get together pretty fast. So,
Pretty well, and pretty well.
I don't know. I don't know if I felt like the spice was kind of
Lacking.
no, I not lacking. I just felt like it was very formulaic. Like it was just kind of like it hit all of the beats. You know what I mean?
No originality.
There's no originality in this book. But like I said, I still enjoyed it. I still
I
enjoyed the romance. I still enjoyed the kind of like any enemies to lovers vibe. The hate fucking. There was a lot of hate fucking. I enjoyed the hate
Oh,
fucking.
yeah, I was reading some of this and I was like, Kelly
The
praise
banter.
praise king. Oh my God, there was one time that he said something and it wasn't like I don't remember what it was, but there's one line in this that he said and I was like, yes, sir. Yeah, I hmm. Oh, I have to go back and find that line. I actually really want to reread the book.
Yeah. I I think if I didn't have an obscene TBR that's stressing me out, I probably would have considered a reread. So I think I originally rated this book 5 stars, but then after thinking about it for a while, thinking about the plot holes and some of the other things, I think I'm gonna just rate it a 4.
I gave it a 4.
Um, because yeah, now that I'm like kind of thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know.
Now that we're dissecting it.
Now that I'm dissecting it, I do kind of feel like some of it was a little too formulaic and not original. But with that said, I ate it up. I ate it up.
Gobbled
Um,
it, as you say.
Cobbled it up. Uh, okay, your turn.
I liked it. But I liked it in the moment. It's like I have to finish this right now because it's good. And then when I took a break and slept like a normal person, went back to it, it wasn't like I didn't have my high going on still. It took a little minute, but it was nice. It was sweet. It was great while it was kicking. I'm glad that it started off good and not like a slow dragging. I mean, it did kind of drag a little bit.
There was points where it dragged a little bit, but with that said, I do feel like within the first couple chapters, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in it. Versus sometimes with the world building and you're like, oh my God, I just got to get through the world building the first like third of the book and then it like really starts taking up. It was like it grabbed you from the very beginning, in my opinion.
It was easy. It was easy to
And
push
it was
through.
very easy to read. Like overall, I thought the pacing was really good. Like I
I
said, there was like one or two parts where I was like, okay, huh,
I
but
was
not that
reading
bad.
this at one part of the book. I would say probably like a quarter way in. And I was reading it and I was like, am I literally my brain was like, am I reading Divergent? I literally when they were talking about the aberrant aberrant whatever they're called. The aberrant. So in Divergent, they're called something very, very, very similar. The people of powers, aberration. I think that's the one in. Anyways, yeah,
The modified,
no,
the
yeah, but they have
mods,
another. They have another.
aberrant.
Yeah, see, I was right. But they and in what Divergent, they have something very, very similar. And I was reading it, and then something happened, and I was like, wait a second, isn't this the part where like four comes in and then he does this? And I was like, and that's when I texted you. I was like, what the fuck? Um, Aberration, I think is one in.
No, I think they just call him aberrant.
No, I'm talking about the one in.
Huh?
I'm talking about the one in whatever you call it. Anyways, I liked it. I liked it. Now that I'm talking about it, I don't know if I much I liked it.
Well, I think also we're both in a grumpy mood. I think we were really excited to talk about this like 2 hours ago before we hit all these technical difficulties and got grumpy. But I did like Cross. I did feel like he had some depth, though. This is a case where I feel like they were trying to make him like morally gray and
He got annoying.
they were trying to make him morally gray and he was like from the very beginning said something about how he liked his sex rough or whatever. But then by the middle of the book, it was very sweet. And, I like a cinnamon roll, but I think they tried to make him this, but then he kind of moved into this. And I don't know. I felt like they should have just kept one or the other from the beginning.
He definitely like started off strong, and then like the like half into the book, I was kind of annoyed with his like whiny like, oh my god, come here, I'm gonna come over, and like I just want to have sex all the time, and just sex, 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 sex,
They did have a lot of sex.
a lot.
Uh, and yeah, and he definitely fell for her, which, I like a he falls first trope, but um I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I I did like that he turned out to be Wolf. Um
I thought it was
it,
cute. I was like, kick him real
I thought it
feet.
was cute. And the scene where she finally like found out, I was waiting for it because as soon as he started talking about how the sea is always calm, I was like, I bet this is a picture. And I bet she's going to figure
I
out who it
didn't.
is. I said, I bet it's a picture, and I bet she's going to figure out who it is when she goes somewhere and sees the boat. Whether,
That's what I
and
thought too. I thought so too.
so when she found the boat and it was a picture, I was like, and it was him, I was like, okay. And she waited kind of a long time. I thought she was just going to go right into it and be like,
I like how
dude.
she went into it.
But I really, really enjoyed the scene where she finally told him who she was. I thought that was a fun scene.
That was very fun.
It,
That was great.
and I needed it to be fun. Like if that scene would have fallen flat, I think I wouldn't have liked the rest of the book.
I
Because the rest of the book was kind of
yeah.
from
I
there on, once they got together, the only thing to wrap up was who is Wolf, right? And
yeah,
so once you found that out, it felt like the story was done.
that's what kept me like when I jumped back into the book. That's what like because they had already gotten together. I was like, oh well, now what? My my worst trope enemy coming up. Is that it? And then I was like, oh wait, we gotta figure out Wolf. But I like the little cute moments where he like followed her around at night and then
Yeah,
like
that was
whenever
cute.
they were running track and he yelled at Jordan or Daniel to like at the Jordan, the guy that she slept with in the cute motel scene, that was adorable. How she ended up in his room.
Yeah, the
Like
beginning
that.
was good. Yeah.
I like that.
Um, yeah, the jealousy sort of thing, that was fun. And the side characters were good. I liked Kane. And for a moment, I was like, oh, maybe he'll end up being, Wolf. Like I said, obviously he wasn't. And then when he died, I was like kind of devastated. And I was
I
like, of
wasn't.
course, we are gonna kill off one of my favorite characters. And then he's not dead. And I kind of liked that.
whenever all that happened, I was like, well, Kane's missing, the plane's missing, the bodies are missing. Like, I was like, some they're with the plane, but I'm sad that Tyler died. I was really
Yeah.
sad.
I mean, yeah, that was also really sad. I was sad that Tyler and Kane died.
Yeah, I wasn't upset. I mean, I should have
You
been.
didn't like Kane? I thought Kane
I
was
like
giving
Kane.
me like Riddick vibes and Carrion vibes. Like I liked him.
I did. No, I liked him a lot too. The big question I have is the ending when they're getting in the freaking helicopter or the
Hmm.
helo, whenever they're getting in that sucker, and he's like, well, you don't know who Xavier is. And I'm like, who is he then? Like, what does she
Yeah.
not know? What? Oh my God. Because if we find
I
out it's
really I don't
Kane,
want him to die. I don't want him to die. I'm gonna be like, I'm Team Xavier.
I like him.
I like him and I don't want him to die. I don't think he will, but I also think he's probably killed a bunch of okay, here's the thing is that I kind
Mm.
of hate the rebellion. They treated her like shit. They let her uncle die. They basically gave up on her until she saved herself. And they're like, oh, I guess you have value now. And so I kind of don't want her to help the rebellion. I kind of want her and Xavier and Cross to just kind of take down his dad and the whole thing. Okay, so
Travis too. I don't like Travis.
okay, you know that part in Hunger Games and Divergent where they go to the rebellion and the rebellion leader is just as bad or worse than, President Snow and, whatever,
Yeah.
right? And that it's giving that vibe where like I don't really want the rebellion to win either. I kind of want them to both just go away and start over from scratch.
I yeah, I don't give two shits. I wish he would have stayed and figured out something, but I don't like how easily she escaped. That was way too easy. Yeah, there's just some things that needed a little more detail, I will say. I did like the part where she jumped into Kane's bed though. I was like, no, don't do it because we have Cross, but do it because it's Kane.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm
That's
glad that they turned
cute.
out to be friends and not lovers. But
Who was he?
yeah.
I wonder who he was screwing because he did say, what if it's Lydia? That bitch. That bitch. And Kane sold her
Oh,
out
how about
too.
how about when that other girl died? Um, they shot her in the head. Um,
Bryce.
so Cross has
No.
a half brother who's an absolute psychopath of a human. And what is his name? Hold on.
It's short, I think. Rio,
Yeah.
Rio. Starting with R. Unprepared and stressed.
Roe. Roe. His name's
Bro.
Roe.
Bro.
And
Bro.
he's kind of a psychopath. And he ends up cornering one night on the roof Ren and
Bryce, I think.
it's not Bryce. Bryce.
I Brietta.
Oh my God, girl, stop saying names. I'm trying to read. Tana. Okay, so Tana and Ren start to kind of become friends, and one night they're out on the roof, and Ro corners them and accuses
It's
one
not
of.
Britanna because it's not
I'm sorry,
I don't think that's the right person.
it is. I'm
Okay.
100 million%. It
Okay.
says it right here.
Okay.
Okay, so Tana and Ren go out on the roof and are cornered by Ro, and he accuses one of them of being modified. And he's actually accusing Tana, but at the time, Ren doesn't realize it, and he shoots her and kills her. And it's really devastating. And I feel like um, that's when Ren's kind of should I join the rebellion? Should I not? Kind of solidifies that maybe she's going to help the rebellion. But then the rebellion starts doing some really horrible shit. And she's like second guessing joining the rebellion. But in the end, she doesn't really have a choice because it's either run and get help, have the rebellion help her run, or die. So she runs, and that's basically how the book ends. And I liked that the rebellion had more cards than we thought they did. You know, they had Kane, they had Tana, they had that one woman come in and scramble the guy's brain.
And then Ellis, the healer.
Ellis the healer, like all of that. So yeah, I liked that, but I just get really bad vibes about the rebellion, and I have a feeling in the second book because already has the author has sold a 3-part series. Like they've already given her all the money up front. So you know there's going to be 2 more books, and I feel like it's just going to follow the same formula as Divergent, as Hunger Games, where she's going to join the rebellion's going to use her and screw her over, and then she's going to have to be like, dude, you guys are just as bad.
It's textbook.
So I'm hoping for a tiny bit more originality. But what I really want to talk about is who do you think Dani Francis is? Now, with that said, there's a lot of talk online about who Dani Francis is. And I feel like this is a marketing ploy,
Mhm.
first of all. I think they're doing this not because the author doesn't want everyone to know who they are. I think it's honestly just to drum up more interest in the book. But with that said, here's what we know about the author. One, it's a pen name of an author that's popular and is a best-selling author. So, Braven, what have you heard? What do you think?
Um, I definitely I've heard a lot. People from Sarah J. Maas to Moss to Inked in Blood, the video, the girl was like so serious that this was it because of back
Daniel L.
publication.
Jensen.
Daniela Jensen, and then Lauren Roberts, the one that did Powerless, is the one that I kind of think because it gave me like the same vibe if Powerless, the first book, had smut in it. Like it kind of gave it read kind of like that to me.
So one of the things I read is that in an author interview, the author basically said that they really love dystopian and YA dystopian, and they wanted to recreate a YA dystopian, but make it more grown up. So with, with spice. And so I kind of like your theory that it could be Lauren Roberts. One, because she's gotten a lot of controversy on her last trilogy. She is a best-selling author. She's been known to sell books, but she is constantly surrounded by controversy. And that's one thing that people are saying online is why would you use a pen name unless one, you um you needed to distance yourself from controversy. Someone like J.K. Rowling, for example. Um, but I think your theory that it could be Lauren Roberts because she has a lot of controversy surrounding her books. And the other thing people said is, well, people use multiple pen names, and we talk to um,
Live.
Liv about this. She has multiple pen names.
Mhm.
because you're trying to do a different genre. So you use a different pen name for a different genre. And when you're jumping from YA to adult, maybe that's a reason. Or if you're jumping from a completely different genre, like maybe they're in self-help books or maybe they're in, historical romance or something, and they wanted to jump into this genre, that's why you would create a different pen name.
Yeah.
So even though I really liked the theory that it could be Danielle L. Jensen, it doesn't make sense because it's the same genre. Why not just use your name?
Because of the controversy she got for these being a lot like the Red Queen in another series, and then
Yeah, I'm
it.
talking not that's not Danielle L. Jensen though.
Oh,
That's Lauren Roberts.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lauren Roberts got a lot of controversy because she has been accused of ripping off uh diff the Red Queen series one, but also other authors. And this, like I said, is
Right
not
up.
reinventing the wheel. And since Lauren Roberts is known for not really any originality, I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me.
Um, but yeah. Danielle Jensen, that was what you're talking about.
Yeah, Danielle L.
I don't
Jensen. So the theory that it's Danielle L. Jensen came from something that I saw online where one, it's the same um
publishing
editors, publisher, editor, and one other as Danielle L. Jensen. And two, there is something in the printed version of Silver Elite that Danielle L. Jensen has done in all of her other books. And it's at the very back of the book, she talks about the type, the printed type, and why she chose to use that printed type and the history of that printed type. And it is a very unique thing to do to be like, oh, I used blah 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 and in my books, and this is why I decided to print it in this typeface. It's a very unique thing to do, and to have one author do that, and then now this unknown author do that seems like a very it's either the author's choice or maybe it's her publisher company's choice, and maybe that's why. I don't know.
um yeah, I saw though that there's several other books that are kind of like that though that have the same
Oh, there are. Are
and
they all the same publisher?
I bet you they're probably the same publisher, that's why.
Okay. All right. So maybe it's the publisher and not the author.
Yeah.
Um,
I went on Reddit and I was reading some stuff and people were going like off the deep end, like um I don't even know what you would consider it, like old romance writers, and I was like, that's
oh,
what
okay.
I
So
mean.
someone trying to reinvent themselves because they are feeling like they were popular 20 years ago and now they want to like get back into it, but they don't want to be associated with their old pen name because it's been so long.
I saw the running joke that it's Sarah J. Maas because she needs to get the heat off of her releasing book six.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing people keep saying is it's someone like Sarah J. Maas or Sarah J. Maas because everyone's so upset that she hasn't released ACOTAR 6. And so she wrote this book, and so that people weren't mad at her, she was just used a pen name. And I think that's hilarious, but also
It's,
probably unnecessary.
I don't feel like it's her from her writing. I
And a
don't
lot
get
of people compared this book to Fourth Wing. And I didn't get Fourth Wing vibes, but
it's the
here's what
academia.
here's why I think people compared it to Fourth Wing. One, because it's kind of has a military college vibe. It's not officially a military college, but it has like a military college vibe. And two, the relationship between the two characters, Ren and Cross, has some similarities to Violet and Zeta. And some people are like, oh my God, it's exactly the same thing. I don't know if I would say exact same, but there are some
No,
similarities
no, I feel like
where
Cross is a little more on the. I don't know. I don't. I'm yes, yeah.
where they're supposed to be enemies to lovers, right? And the fact that like she's hiding who she really is, and if he finds out, then she's gonna die, you know? So it's like this kind of like he can't figure out who I am, but he's obviously super into her and he keeps trying to resist her and then finally has a fuck it moment and is like, I need you right now.
Like
And
now.
now he's very
I
aggressive about the right now.
He's definitely a dom.
Yeah, well, in the beginning he definitely was, but then towards the end, I felt like he kind of got a
Mushy
little
cinnamon.
mushy, a little cinnamony.
See, that's what
But
I
that's
was.
why I said I don't know. I feel like he should have just stayed that way versus I feel like he changed a little too much.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
he got very mushy. That like he was very lovesick, and I was kind of like, dude, I thought you were this like tough guy. I'm kind of like getting turned off.
Well, I don't know if I was turned off, but I also it did throw the fact that he was Wolf. Maybe that was what when the author was trying to kind of make that change, right? Of you've got this woman that he's been in love with since he was 8 years old, and this woman that he is super into, and he finds out that she's the same person, and he's like, well, this is who I've always wanted to be with in one package.
And one knows all the secrets about him, and the other he's hiding, and she's hiding as well. Like
Yeah,
they,
it's like because the sweet part at the very end was when Xavier told her that he broke up with his last girlfriend and told Xavier, well, I broke up with her because I've been in love with the same girl since I was 8 years old and she's not her. Well, it turns out that Ren is the woman that he's been in love with since he was 8 years old. And heart flutters here.
he said she likes daisies whenever Xavier asked who it was. He was like, I don't know, but she likes daisies. Her favorite flower is daisies.
Yeah.
But it's no longer daisies.
It is no longer daisies, but um
Um, how about the shower scene at the camp?
oh yeah, that was fun.
Like my cheeks are getting red.
I was walking my dogs when that scene came on. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that was fun. That was spicy. I also thought it was kind of funny that everyone knew that they were into each other before they would admit it to themselves. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not into him. He's not into me. And everyone was like, yeah, he is.
I mean,
Like he never acts this way. Uh
you've
and
been in his office 12 times in
12
one
times.
week.
Um, and everyone just watched you guys get naked in front of each other and I fuck each other. And
I
Kane even says, I didn't know I was in competition with him. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Xavier comes over and was like, I've never seen him act that way. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I I picturing that scene. I was like, okay, so like a beach shower and they're outside. And then I was like,
Hmm. But
well,
there's
stalls.
stalls. But he's tall enough that he can just see straight in and he's ogling her. Oogling? Ogling? What's that word? Oogling?
Oogling
Ogling.
sounds better.
Oogling. He's oogling her and
Oogly eyes.
she's like not tall enough to see a whole lot except his
His
bare
shoulders.
ass when he walks away from her. And she's just like, let me just wrap myself down in front of you.
And she was the one that was scared of undressing in the
Because
the
of her
barracks.
scar. Because of her scar. Yeah.
And she's
And the
like, "Oh fuck
whole
it."
removing the scar thing was so dumb to me. I was
Oh,
like, why would you do that?
you can
Of
just
course you're going to get caught. And I was a little disappointed in her friend.
I was surprised it was an Ivy.
I was surprised it wasn't Ivy. Was really surprised that Liddy outed her. I was disappointed. I was disappointed in her.
I'm I kind of wish Ivy was more of a bitch. She
You know,
lacked.
okay, I feel like she fell flat because she's the ex-girlfriend. So I feel like the ex-girlfriend needs to fall into one or two categories. She needs to be like a raging bitch that's constantly trying to break them up. Or two, she needs to be like, fuck it, girl. Go for it. Let's just be friends. You know?
Mhm.
You
Like,
know,
oh,
and
they
like
dated a long time ago, but it's nothing.
it's like, all right, well, I'll admit defeat. Whatever. Go, you know, I don't know. Like, you know, when you run into your ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend and you're like, okay, I can either be a raging bitch right now, or I can be like, hey, I'm Kelly. It's nice to meet you, and just be a pleasant human. You know what I mean? And I feel like Ivy just kind of like blended into the wall and was
I didn't feel
literally
very
no point to her.
I didn't feel very threatened by her. I feel like someone else I feel like was more like intimidating than she was. I don't remember who.
Bryce,
Hmm.
maybe the one she killed.
Bryce is the one that died on the rooftop.
No, that's Tana. Bryce is the one she killed. Her dad was watching and they were trying to get into Silver Elite. And you had to kill someone. Bryce is the one she killed. I'm 99.99999% sure what I'm talking about because I'm looking at it right now on the computer.
Whatever. I thought the name started with a B. I was like,